Over the years, there's been tons of rapper streetwear brands. We've covered many of them. Brands like Rocawear, Sean John, and even newer ones like Last Kings and Human Made. All of these brands had their eras where they dominated the market, some of which bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. But for every G Unit or Billionaire Boys Club, you have a slew of other brands that never took off, shall we say. Today, we'll be showing love to those that flopped. Perhaps more love than these brands ever got during the times when they were released. I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com, and this is the top 10 failed rapper clothing lines. When rap meets fashion, then flops. But before we get started, please take a second to smash that like button. Liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos is the only way to get the YouTube algorithms to notice us, and it really helps us continue to grow. Also, once you're done here, don't forget to stop by our website. We have hundreds of items in stock. There's really something for every fan of the channel, basically. But with that being said, let's dive into this list. Coming in at number 10, Outcast Clothing Company. Back in the early 2000s, while Outkast was ruling the charts with Stankonia and Speakerboxx / The Love Below, the duo also had their own clothing line, Outcast Clothing Company. Although they're both wildly different from each other as a character, Big Boi and Andre 3000 always made great music whenever they came together as a group. Their clothing brand aimed to capture this same feel. With other rap brands leaning into New York City grit or flashy bling, Outkast brought a funky, futuristic ATL vibe to the game. The brand was bold but wearable, mixing hip-hop, funk, and streetwear energy. Think logo-heavy tees, embroidered jeans, and Outkast's signature alien iconography. While brands like Rocawear and Sean John were dominating with big department stores, Outcast Clothing stayed more low-key. Unfortunately though, the brand never really took off. The duo didn't put much effort into pushing it, and their distribution, as I said, was rather small. And before long, the idea just kind of petered out, which is sad because of all the ones on the list, I actually like some of their stuff. At number 9, Shago by Lil Bow Wow. Inspired heavily by more successful brands like Sean John, the name Shago apparently came from Bow Wow's childhood nickname, which might have been cool for you to call a 4-year-old, but not so much for a clothing brand. It launched in 2004 and was an attempt to take advantage of the rapper's global fame at that time. If you remember, he was all over the place. 106 & Park loved him. The clothing, though, in my opinion, was actually pretty mid. Predictable pieces that looked like rip-offs of more successful established brands. Shago was basically just recreating what they saw from others, which is never a recipe for longevity. Shago was perpetually behind the curve, and by the time it finally hit shelves, the fashion trends had changed so much that Shago really had no hope of keeping up, causing them to crash and burn. Number 8 brings us Fat Joe's FJ560. I'm not sure how many people actually remember, but Fat Joe at one point had a clothing line too. Launched in 1997, the 560 part represented the address of his Bronx store, Halftime Fat Hip Hop Gear. FJ560's designs were straight out of the 90s streetwear playbook. Bold branding, baggy silhouettes, flashy designs. It catered to fans of brands like Rocawear, Academics, Echo, and Anichi, but with a distinct Bronx twist. Also, Fat Joe, quite admirably, hired a staff full of Black and Latino designers from the Bronx, citing that who better than them knew what his fans wanted. Although the designs were pretty nice, admittedly, the brand never really gained footing in the market, and by the late 2000s, they had become a lost gem to time. Next at lucky number 7, Busta Rhymes, Bushi Clothing. Busta Rhymes was one of the biggest rappers alive at the turn of the century, and during the height of his success, he joined the trend of launching his own clothing line in 1999 with Bushi. Described as, quote, couture meets street, It was named after a Japanese term for the word warrior. Sadly though, for old Bus, he was a little bit late to the party and brought outdated designs. Bushi was short-lived and ultimately folded not long after its launch. At number 6, DMX Signature Clothing. Yeah, that was the name. DMX Signature Clothing. Considering that DMX was a street guy and not to mention fully in the throes of personal issues, this pretty clearly looked like a money grab launched by people around him trying to capitalize off X's fame. Touted as a kind of no-frills clothing that active, rugged men want to wear, quote unquote, turns out it wasn't really what they wanted. And it didn't take long for the wheels to fall off, causing the brand to disappear. Number 5 brings us Young Buck's David Brown. I touched a bit on the Young Buck situation in the last week's video covering G-Unit clothing, but suffice to say, shortly after being booted to the curb by 50 Cent, Buck was grasping for straws just to stay afloat. Seeing how well G-Unit clothing went, he decided to try his hand with his own brand. Using his government name, they planned, keyword, planned, to launch in 2008. But things didn't quite go as planned. Although they showcased at several fashion trade shows, the brand failed to gain significant enough attention to garner funding and basically fizzled out before it could even get going. Man, did Young Buck get the raw end of the deal after leaving G-Unit. Next up at number 4, Soji by Common. This one, not even I remembered, but apparently it was randomly named after its next door neighbor, so okay. Soji was a hat line, which makes sense considering that for a while you never saw Common without a hat on, so why not promote his own? They later branched out into clothing as well, all modeled off of Common's earthy soul brother type style. Surprisingly, the site is still active today, but the brand never really made it off the ground. Hit us in the comments if you remember them or actually owned any of their stuff. Rolling right along into number 3, the LL Cool J collection. Many people thought that back in the day, LL owned FUBU for a while, considering how hard he represented for the brand. But actually, no. He did, however, in 2008, decide to link up with department store Sears to launch the LL Cool J collection, an affordable streetwear line designed to represent the rapper's sense of style. But the problem was multifaceted. One, Sears has never been respected that well in the streetwear community. And unless you're too young to dress yourself and going there with your mama to buy church clothes, you probably never set foot in the place. And 2, Sears was facing tremendous financial issues around 2008, which definitely didn't help things out either. All in all, the endeavor was short-lived and it never really caught on with the public. I know, huge shocker, right? Number 2, Snoop Dogg clothing. Fans might think that there's no limit to what Snoop Dogg can accomplish, but the fashion world once said otherwise. Long before he launched his rich and infamous clothing line, the Dogfather dropped a rather generic line of rebranded t-shirts, jeans, and sweatshirts that were lackluster, to be nice about it. Proving it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, and even the most successful rapper can't hit it out of the park every time, no matter how much weed he smokes to get inspiration. Last but not least, Gnostic by Jim Jones. A line of menswear inspired by Jim Jones' street and rockstar style of the late 2000s. It featured designs like embellished tees, button-ups, and denim jeans with unique back pocket designs. Picture Ed Hardy, but with a bit more hood flair. It leans super heavy into rap's party like a rockstar era that I've talked about in several other videos. But the problem was, as soon as the trend died, so did the brand. I mean, what can I say? Never base your clothing line off of a passing fad, because this will happen 10 times out of 10. But what do you think? Do you remember any of these brands? Do you have any of them? Hit us up in the comment section and let us know. This list is in no particular order, so feel free to also hit us up if you feel that we missed some brands, and who knows, maybe we'll do a deep dive on them one day. And if you made it all the way to the end of the video and you enjoyed what you saw, we hope you already smashed that like button. Liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos is the only way to help the YouTube algorithms notice us so that we can continue to grow. We're on the road to 30,000 subscribers and we only need a couple of hundred more. And if you want to be updated whenever we drop a new episode, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and then the notification bell. That way you'll be dinged when each new video is released. With all that being said, I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com signing out. Until next time, peace.